Don't want to mislead. This is all you need. Be your everything, yeah, I'll be your everything. Still too soon to feel. Please just say it's real. More than just a thrill, not just in it for the thrill. I'm in it for the love, cause love it needs to touch it. You're pressing on my buttons, babe, let me tell you something. I'm in it for the love, cause love it needs to touch it. You're pressing on my buttons, babe, let me tell you something. I'm in it for the love. I'm in it for the love. I'm in it for the love. I'm in it for the love.
All right, we'll start, I guess, in a second. If some people join. I guess we have a technical problem right here, so give me a second. I have to text someone for this. All right, I guess we'll start. So I watched Alex's live stream, which was great. Thank you, Alex, so much for sharing your identity and how important it is to you. And hi everyone, my name is Andy Chung, and I'm here on behalf of Gachi to present to you on our Relay Online live stream. Gachi is basically a student-led nonprofit organization, which is created this summer with student leaders over, I guess, 27, 26 international schools across Canada, China, South Korea, Singapore, and the United States, and more. Overall, our 24-hour relay live stream, which aims to discover what it means to be Korean in today's international stage. And apparently today is Gwangbokjeol, which is basically the Independence Day in the States of Korea. Over the 24 hours, students will discuss what identity means to them, and I will be talking about my identity as a Korean food aficionado. So I'll be talking about specifically ramen and tteokbokki, which is a Korean traditional food created after the Korean War when people were not living great and then they had to work all day, so they had to create a food which they could eat and make over a short course of time. And ramen tteokbokki is the best examples they have. So what I have right here, I'll show it to you. Right here is ramen. This ramen specifically is created in 1963, which it's called samyangnamen. And for me, I started eating ramen when I was about 6, 7. My dad was a huge ramen fan. When I woke up, there was ramen, smell of the ramen all over the house. I ran downstairs, asked my dad if I could also have some. So, and then after that, I started cooking my own. And this is the recipe I have. I included some chili oil and pagirim onto this. So, about my past experience, I lived in Korea until I was a 6th grader and moved on to living in Paris for a year in an international school. And that was a tough time. So my parents finally decided me to go study abroad in the United States. Went to a middle school there as a boarding student, of course. And now I'm in a high school called Taft. So let's see. And my identity basically as a Korean and a food lover is formed during that time. When I lived in Paris, my taste didn't really match the French food. So my mom used to buy Korean food ingredients and made some Korean food home, like kimchi jjigae and galbijjim and usually Korean barbecue, I would say. And ramen was one of my go-to food back then. When I woke up and I didn't have time, I had about 10 minutes. So I cooked ramen, ate really quickly, and then went to school. And when I moved on to my middle school in the States, we had a specific box called a food bin, I would say. Food bin is basically a box where you can store your food. And I used to stack ramen and Korean snacks in there. So my friends used to come over and ask for some food, which I gave them, and that's how I started building off my relationship as a middle schooler. Others really enjoyed ramen, and I had a really high pride in a Korean food. So I guess that's what it really formed me. So I'll take a first bite of this and see how it is. Well, I've been cooking for a long time. I enjoy cooking a lot, so I guess it'll be good. Yeah, when I used to come back from the United States, I often just came back home, took a shower, and asked my mom to cook a ramen noodle for me. And that just made my day. I used to um, share this with my friends and my family all the time. And as a Korean American, I would say, you know how there's a lot of K towns, Korean towns in the States, and we used to go there, buy a lot of ramen noodles, which we used to stack them up in our food bins. And also, Taft recently, I didn't have a lot of chance to buy any Korean food since I was in quarantine in my school. So I used to uh, just eat. I just ate it from the dining hall, ordered Domino's and everything. So that made me go crazy for a while since I love Korean food and it's just how I like what I am. And I think the importance of food and Korean people are is just unbelievable because everywhere we go, food is there. Because I used to ski a lot when I was young, and when I used to go up on the slope, there were like small places up on all slopes which they sold ramen, tteokbokki, and all Korean food, and it was just all kind of I was just living with it. That's the only word I could use for it. I actually haven't had ramen in a while. It's my first time in Korea actually having ramen this summer, I would say. Yeah, I cooked it right before the live stream, which was great. I mean, 어차피 I have this and I have something else waiting for me. So it's more like talking today instead of eating. And ramen, you know how like today, the Olympics went on and then the archery team won 3 or 5 gold medals, I would say. And Koreans have a high pride in themselves. Their Korean culture, especially K-pop, Korean food, the YouTubers who promote Korean food to other foreigners, and they love them. I love watching them and enjoying it. And also, I would Koreans have a high pride in everything, and that's especially what I have for today. And my favorite ramen brand, that's hard. I would just go with the one I'm eating right now. It's Shinramen. It's one of the oldest ramen brands, I would say. This is what I had when I was in the States. The concept of this live stream is basically how ramen and other Korean food formed my identity and how it helped me to reach out to other foreign friends. No donation allowed here. And this, along with this, another soul food I have here is sundae. I don't know if you can see this right now. And tteokbokki. Okay, I'll put aside the ramen for now. I'm eating too much these days. Favorite memory with ramen, As I told you, I used to ski a lot. So after a long day of skiing, eating a hot bowl of ramen was the best thing for me, basically. 김치는 냄새가 너무 많이 날 것 같아서 뺐어요. 여기는 떡볶이인데, this right here, along with ramen, what I also love is tteokbokki. So I usually come back from the States. On my way back, I used to pick up tteokbokki and sundae from my favorite tteokbokki place. Sundae, it's basically made out of pork. Pork, I suppose, or cow intestines filled with rice noodles, as you can see right here. Tteokbokki is just normal tteokbokki with cheese. Yeah, also fusion food in Korea is great. Koreans combine a lot of stuff. These days, they're like cream flavored tteokbokki and Chinese jajang flavored tteokbokki and everything. This is Korean ramen. I'm not a big fan of Japanese ramen. It looks really good until you're really full right now, like me. So I'll have a first bite. It has a kick in it. It's pretty spicy, I would say. So, another memory about Korean food I had was going shopping with my foreign friends and Korean friends to H Mart. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but H Mart is basically a supermarket filled with Korean stuff, Korean food, Korean utensils, Korean everything basically. It's throughout the United States, and my former school used to have a trip there, and I used to ask my foreign friends to come with me, try new Korean food, and see how it is, and if they like it, they should buy some and stack them up in food bins. Yeah, H Mart's great. And especially my foreign friends, when 불닭볶음면, I don't know if I have it here, just give me a second. Yeah, unfortunately it's not here, but 불닭볶음면 is a chicken flavored spicy noodle that has been made in Korea since 2017, I would say. And it has been a challenge for a lot of people to eat that since it was really spicy. So I remember a specific video from 영국 남자, who is an Englishman in Korea. He usually promotes Korean food to foreigners, and I would really love to show you guys the video, but 불닭볶음면, it's just what you guys know basically. Give me a second. Yeah, I don't really know if I can show this video to you, but if you guys have a chance, please check it out. It's British people trying 불닭볶음면 for the first time, or Korean chicken flavored noodles, and that has been a challenge in a lot of countries, especially in the U.S. or Europe, for a long time. Since other people not from Korea are not familiar with the spice and kick of the Korean food, it was really interesting for me to watch it. Bulldog is really spicy for Korean people also. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish all this food since it's a lot right here. I'll try though. Oh, sundae also. This one, a way to eat it is you dip it in tteokbokki sauce like this and you eat it. It gives a spicy and kind of salty flavor to it. It's great. The food I ordered, which I won't be able to finish, is going to my sister, unfortunately. I just commanded her to do so. Mm. Oh yeah, about bulldog. I once asked my friends to try it in Paris. One was from Russia and one was Swedish. They came over. I asked them to try bulldog, and I cooked it for them. And then it was too spicy for them. I guess they were just running around the house eating ice and everything. It was hilarious. I don't know. Food has been taking up a lot of part of in my life. Not only Korean food, but also just food in general. Because the love Koreans have for food is humongous. They're like, well, usually in the States, when we say when we say farewells, we're like, see you later, right? But Koreans are 밥 나중에 밥 같이 먹자, which means let's have some food together later. Or when you see each other, we're like, 밥 먹고 만나니? And like, 밥 먹었어? That means, have you eaten? Or else we can go eat right now. Living in Paris was an extraordinary experience for me, basically. It was just, everything was just new to me. The city, the culture, and of course the language. I had to learn French before I went there because I had to communicate. And making friends was also a problem, but fortunately, in a couple of months, I loved the life there. The city was beautiful when I woke up. It was just, when you look outside, you see all those buildings filled with decorations and everything. It was great. And however, like, French food is considered one of the best in the world, but I specifically did not enjoy French food at all. Those Michelin restaurants or anything, or just restaurants that are in the streets, I did not enjoy a single French food. Italian food was better than there. Racism, yeah, racism was a problem for us. My mom, especially, she wasn't good in French, unlike me and my sister, who were at least able to order food or ask for help in French. So she had to go buy something, and then when she spoke in English, the perception of French people looking at Chinese or Korean or any Asian people speaking English is that they're tourists and they're rude. So the French people also have a certain nuance to it, and it's not really great. That's why I had to learn French in a short time, because I knew that it was a problem if I didn't know how to speak French. Well, if you know how to speak French there, it's much easier. People are so friendly to you and everything. Yeah, for people who just came in, this is sundae and kimari, and this is tteokbokki, which I ordered. I couldn't make it, unfortunately. I would define myself a Korean American, especially because my time in Paris was only over a year or so, since I was having a hard time dealing with school and managing my time and all. So Korean American most of all, but I wouldn't define myself American since I'm not an American citizen. But I spent half of my lifetime in the States, going to summer camps, going to homestays, and now I'm going to a boarding school, preparing for college in America. And favorite Korean restaurants near Fessenden. Fessenden is my previous school in Boston. I would say my favorite Korean restaurant is, that's tough. There's a sundubu place. Let me just search it up. Yeah, it's called Kaju Sundubu. Their sundubu is so good, and I used to go there with my friends on weekends to check out and try some Korean food, and go to Boston later. And what do you guys think about uh, the pride Koreans have in their food and everything? Do you also have a pride in your food, your culture of food, especially? Or think about it. Has that impacted your identity at all? So Julia said that she's really proud of her own cultural food and she'll bring it to school when she was younger. Yeah, that's a tendency I see in Korean people because they have a high pride in their food. They want to share it with others because sharing is a huge part of Korean culture, I would see. And yeah, Korean food smells a bit weird, and this one especially looks weird for foreigners to see. But once they try it, they just get immersed by it, and it's so great. So kimari also, you dip it in tteokbokki sauce like this, and if you try it, it's great. And then also, as you can see, there's cheese and sausage like this in there. So Koreans love fusioning a lot of different ingredients from especially Western cultures and putting it in their food, making it so much better. Oh, I'm not saying it's like Western ingredients are not good enough, but they're just Koreans really have a huge passion for food. Korean food smell. Well, for me, when I used to live with it when I was younger, so I wouldn't say that it smells gross or anything. But I agree, some people might say so. Oh, this food was from. This is not a place that I usually order from. It's called Samsam Tteokbokki. That was the only place that was open. Yeah, so and sharing culture is really developed in Korea, I would say. When you eat food, you don't usually eat by yourself. You eat in a family or with your friends and everything. It's such an interesting culture that Koreans have. Favorite cuisine of food. Yeah, why don't you guys just list every favorite cuisines you guys have in Seoul other from Korean food? Mine is called maje soba. I don't know if you guys know it. It's Japanese soba, but it's a dry soba. So there's basically noodles and you put ingredients in there. Yeah, comment your favorite cuisine or type of food that you guys have. And 먹자골목, yeah, another experience I remember is that once my Chinese friend from my middle school came over to Korea just to visit and have fun with me and my friends. I brought him to 먹자골목, which is basically a street filled with cuisines and food sellers, and we used to go there, and I made him try samnakji and yukhae, which is really unfamiliar to foreigners. Samnakji is basically a dish filled with nakji, which is a type of octopus or a squid that had been alive a second ago. Japanese fusion is really good in Korea. Yeah, tonkatsu and everything is really great in Korea. I agree. And also Gwangbokjeol. One thing I remember that my grandparents told me after Gwangbokjeol is that Korea has been really poor during 1940s till 1970s. So a food culture, cheap street food culture, had been developed a lot that during that time. Which ramen, it was developed in 1963, and tteokbokki, which was made a long time ago. It was different from this form, but it was like that. And then, so one thing my grandparents told me is that there used to be a vendor selling rice cake to everyone when during the hard times. So they made rice cake from makgeolli, from the reminiscence from the remnants from the makgeolli 공장, which is piled underneath. So it's basically rice filled with alcohol and the flavor of makgeolli, so they sold those stuck to rice cake to everyone, and then some children ate them, and then they got drunk, and it was just a fun story I had. Japanese, Chinese. Yeah, other from only Korean food that Koreans have passion in, I would say they really study food and develop their own menus and cuisines all the way. Yeah, I thought there would be more for a live stream with food, but that's mostly I have, and I'll be answering questions from now on. And also, I remember how Julie talked about different types of naengmyeon in all over the Korean peninsula. And not only naengmyeon is a type of food that differs from regions, tteokbokki, of course, and sundae. It's not. This sundae is a more familiar version of two Korean people, but there's a sundae filled with cow blood, which I personally love, and it's originated from I think Gyeongsangdo, I think. 한국만의 특징 is basically it's not only just spicy with peppers, but they make it spicy with a lot of flavors into it. It's not only like, for example, Mexico, which is famous for spicy peppers like jalapenos, habaneros, and everything. They normally don't eat those spicy food very often, but Koreans are just, I think, very used to it, and they would eat it every day. That special sundae is from a place I visited with my parents a while ago, so I don't really remember. But if you search on Pisundae, it would come out. And more things to talk about myself, I would say, is that I used to carry around gochujang a lot. That was my go-to flavor, and I used to put it on everywhere, whatever I ate, especially in the States. I used to put it on um, chicken tenders and everything. 남은 음식들, they're all going to my sister and my mom. They were kind enough to try these. Yeah. And yeah, food waste in Korea has been a huge problem since we have a lot of banchan, which is a side dish to a main dish, and not a lot of people eat all those, so they couldn't recycle it or anything. That's a food waste problem in Korea. So a lot of restaurants, I suppose, are using self-serve systems, which you go to a side dish bar and you just take how much you want and you eat those. Oh yeah, there's a really odd culture that I saw in my family tradition or just Korean family traditions. When you used to have chesa, which is serving to the past people and our family members, the Koreans usually put some food and fruits onto the table and light up the. I don't know what that's called, but it's like a candle form, and we serve them with food in order to for them to visit our real world and eat those food that they remembered. And I think that's really odd in the Korean culture. Chesa, I haven't been to Chesa in a while because of the coronavirus, but I still remember it since I went when I was 5. Food waste. Yeah, food waste also is a problem from Chesa, but for our family, we used to eat all that after we served them, and then we made additional food and everything. So for us, it wasn't a real huge problem. We had a lot of family members, about 200 or 150 in one house. So there's a lot of people who would eat that. And that's, oh yeah, the last question I should address is that how it, how I could use this identity to impact our community. Uh, there's for Koreans to Korean community. I don't think there is a lot besides meeting them a lot with food and eating food together. But I am definitely committed to promoting Korean food and Korean culture to foreign people. All right, that's all I have for today, and thank you so much.
Hi everyone, my name is Janice Her, and I'm here on behalf of Kachi to present to you our relay live stream. Kachi is a student-led, as you heard before, Kachi is a student-led nonprofit organization with student leaders from over 27 international schools across Canada, China, South Korea, Singapore, and the United States. Our 24-hour relay live stream aims to discover what it means to be Korean in today's international stage. Over the 24 hours, students will discuss what identity means to them. And since the overarching theme of our live stream is identity, I thought I may talk to you guys about myself, music in particular. So I think the best place to talk to you guys about music is my practice room. This is my practice room. I'm not sure if you can see, but let's see. So music and being a musician to me has I feel like sorry. This is my practice room and I play the harp. I've been playing the harp for 11 years now, and I feel like this is the best place to show and talk about identity because this is practically where 1/3 of my time of my day takes place in. So yeah, so I'm a harpist. I've been playing since the age of 5, and I think it's been with me for so long that it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that it's one of the main points that have brought me to where I am today and who has made me who I am. I think in general, music and being a musician has definitely built my identity in two ways, as a musician and an individual. So just to introduce about what I do as a harpist, I usually just come to the practice room every day and practice and do what a normal musician would do. But I feel like in a ways, a lot of people, when I say I'm a harpist, they take it as a special thing. And definitely, harp is a rare instrument. It's not as played as much as the violin or the piano, which are well-known instruments. But over the years, I think as a musician, I realized that a lot of my daily life and what I deem as normal is very different from what another person would believe as normal. So just to talk about the superficial things that I feel makes me how music has changed me and created my identity. Some of the I feel like the harp has made me go through a constant pattern of rules in a sense, such as having to wear heels every day I practice, having to keep my nails short, dealing with calluses and blisters, and having to like 5 different copies of the same music. They all seem very normal to me, but whenever I talk to my friends about this, they would find it not ordinary to this. I mean, it makes sense because they aren't like professional musicians or aren't going into that field. But I feel like this has enlightened me to see how embedded the 11 years of music has been in my life. And oh wait, I forgot to yeah, so like a lot of the common things that I feel every day just take people sometimes by surprise. It's the amount of practice time I take of my life, because to me, like, in order um to I'm not sure, just practice hours to me just seems like an ordinary thing. like 3 hours or 4 hours, sometimes enough to, like, as you can see in the images, like enough to wear down the heel and like create scrapes on the floor. This is all just what I feel is normalized in my life, and I feel I emphasize this because this is what I deem as special to me, and I feel has brings me a little bit different from others around me. And aside from the fact that music and the harp is what makes me shine, I think music also allows me to showcase my personality and who I am to others. Let me see. So yeah, for me, music in itself is an interpretation of a combination of my previous experiences, my memories, emotions, and whatnot, which is why a lot of musicians say that as a musician matures, their music also matures over time, and it makes sense because as the person grows, their outlook grows, and they also change their outlook of their music at the same time. And for me, I believe that in my view, music is my way of speaking to people. Taking the same score of the music, there are so many ways people can play, and it's impossible for any musician to play the same way, the identical way that like another person would, because it's all interpretation, like whether they would make this part a forte or this part a legato or this part something else. So I think this is how I was able to create my musical identity, and because I find myself like analyzing the music and trying to find different ways of portraying myself. And I think I find myself saying this a lot, but music is a universal language in how it's a way you want to send a message to the audience. And sometimes in my performances, I try to show, like, differentiate myself from others, maybe a hand gesture or a musical gesture. I feel it creates a different version of me that you would see in my daily life. Yeah. Also, I think music has built my identity because it has created this social web to me that I actually hold very dearly to heart. I was able to experience a lot of different cultures and places through competitions, concerts, recitals, music camps, and whatnot. I feel I have met so many acquaintances that I still keep to this day, and by bridging these new relationships, friends who I'm still in contact with, I feel like it has broadened my view, because not only in music but also in the way how they approach music, or just how they approach daily life. It's different because we're from different places, and we represent different cultures, and by experiencing that, I was able to, as I said, broaden my outlook on the world. Yeah. Um oh, I feel like, so those are the two ways that I believe music has helped me grow as an individual and as a performer. And I feel like one of the main things I feel as a Korean musician is the Asian stereotypes that some people still have on musicians. Like, I have heard comments such as, um, like, a lot of us, like Asian musicians or Korean musicians, are conservative, and that we can't express music as much, or like sometimes there's that Asian image, like Asian musician image, where like they're stuck in a practice room for hours and hours, and they practice until they get tendonitis. And like in some ways, like it is true, and in some ways it's not, because for me, I don't go that far. And it's true that the harp, though it holds a very like long history, um the modern harp, at least this harp, did originate in the Americas and around Europe. So and in Korea, it doesn't have that much of a history as much as it has in, I don't know, France or in America, because because the manufacturing and the history of the harp has been more longer there. But that doesn't necessarily, but I don't interpret that as making it seem that we are more conservative or that we can't play as musically as them. Sometimes people say, like, oh, you have to play like a French person, or you have to be a French person to play this, or this is a French music. But I don't like I don't think that's right. Like, I mean, in some ways I feel like it has motivated me to break these stereotypes, because I want to show that these stereotypes don't hold true, that musicality and music in general doesn't hold back on a person's nationality. And I feel like I'm actually very happy and proud to say that I feel like these stereotypes have been broken over the years, and people are starting to realize that these stereotypes aren't true. And I actually realized this because I think in a harp documentary I saw like a musician said that most people believe that Asians, like I'm not sure, but a renowned harpist called Isabel Moretti, she was talking about how like a lot of people believe that Asian musicians were very conservative, but and they wouldn't express themselves as much, but that proves very differently nowadays, as especially the harp has become much more like has more well played within Asia and Korea. And yeah, I feel like there was a sudden boost in the amount of harp players, and that within Korea, and I feel that makes me a little bit, no, that makes me very proud to see like the harp world advancing. But it's still a very small world. Like, we all know who we are. But yeah. So oh, nowadays I believe that, so before, I think 3 years ago, I finished my recital and I came out, and then this young girl came to me and she was like, I want to start the harp. Like, I think she was my uncle's friend's daughter, or like acquaintance, but she was like, I want to start the harp after I saw your recital. And I feel like that really touches me to see someone else say that they want to start playing the harp because of me, because and I try to continue to like showcase the harp, because it's not as played as much as other instruments, and I wish that it would become a more standard work instrument. Yeah, and I've also heard after performances like, I I want to play that piece, you, because you played it so well, or like you inspired me to play this piece. And it's like, not, I don't think it's like showing off, but it's just, I really like how I can be that spark of inspiration for other people to start something. And because I've also experienced the same feeling, I watched another person's performance, and because the performance is great, I also want to start playing that music. Or yeah, I started playing the harp because my dad's friend's daughter started playing, and I really like, just from first sight, I really loved it. And I was only 5 years old then, so I hope that people can experience, people would start playing the harp more, and that, yeah. So the person on so the person on, I think, the right bottom corner who's standing next to me is actually a a harp, the Gamak, which is a harp company. He's the founder of that company, and I was invited to the Gamak festival then to perform. So yeah, that was a very amazing opportunity that I was able to have. So yeah. Not sure if I can play though. So yeah, I just let's see, just a peek at my music. So I'm not sure if you can see this, but see, these are like all the scores, like within this, I believe, not only from like the blank score itself, but I feel like like all of this shows like the interpretation that it take like to create an accent here or create a muffling here. That all depends on what the artist wants to express and what they want to showcase or highlight in their music, and that creates inherently their musical personality and thus their identity. Yeah. I'm not sure if I can start playing though. Maybe I'll just play a short excerpt since I have remaining time. Yeah, so I'll start there because it's gonna be too long then. But yeah, that was just a short excerpt of what I'm practicing right now. So yeah, I feel like that is really all that I have for yeah. I feel like, just to sum up what I wanted to say though, is that music, I feel like people should know that like music isn't bounded by anything. It's all interpretation, it's all the person, it's all the like the person's thoughts, and As a musician, that has led me to recognize that people, like, not only in music but also in general, they have people may have different thoughts and interpretations, and it's important to listen to what they think. And and I really do want to point out to the fellow musicians out there that um for music, whenever, like, I'm not saying to go against your teacher or something, but whenever there is a point where you have an interpretation and it goes against the teacher's thoughts, I don't think you should submit to what they think. I think it's good to ask, at least, or at least if you want to combine the advice you get, because you don't want to showcase, like, there are things that can be that are deemed like certainly wrong, or like in this section it's written as, I don't know, mezzo forte, or like it's good to respect the other person's thoughts and what the composer thinks, but it's also good, like, for me, to, like, kind of combine other people's interpretation and thus create my own. Like, from the advice I get usually from master classes, I usually, like, there are conflicting thoughts, like, they all seem right at first. Like, person A says this part should start from a piano and increase, and some others say that it should be like a sudden subito piano, or like, and I always pick and choose what I want, and which do seem right according to what the music says. And that, I think, is why I was able to showcase and create my version of the music. And that's very important, I think, in order to bring out a musician's personality. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Oh, I'm not sure if I can play more though, but I don't know. I have so much time left, but maybe I'll just play this section. So, I think maybe for the time out, I think maybe I should show you more of my practice room and how sometimes I interpret my music. So I think one of the highlights of what it takes to be a musician and in creating my musical identity is sometimes, like, whenever I pick and choose music, I think it's important in my repertoire to include something that that showcases my Korean culture. I feel like, no, it's true. There isn't a lot of music that has been composed by Korean harpists or like Korean composers, and like in the harp realm, I feel like the the main composers or the main like pieces that harpists play, like the standard, are all like um, people who like in France or in Europe or America. I mean, it makes sense because the harp has taken more of its, like, the modern harp has taken more of its origin in oh, maybe I can change that. Okay, maybe um more of like more the standard like composers or were Europeans, because the harp has taken more of its origin in Europe and in the Americas. But I feel like now maybe it would be great for like there to be more, like, to bring to light more the Korean and or even just Asia in general, like music and um, music and maybe like musical styles from here, because definitely I feel it's definitely disparate from the Western in some aspects. Um, there was a Korean composer that created composed harp music, and I feel like maybe I could like take those pieces and um, showcase them more, because I feel like it would be great for us to get more light in this manner. I feel like it's not as broadened yet. So yeah, I'm not sure what more to say about like the stereotypes or the limits that we have, but definitely I think I would have to thank my like the music and harp for um creating who I am, because it really, I feel like it has created a difference like in my daily life. My friends would be like, a lot of the people who know me, or like at school when people call me, like, even though they don't know my name, they know me as the harpist. So at least I feel like it has helped me like be noticed from more people. um yeah, it has helped me get more notice from the world and like my friends and acquaintances. Just, I feel like it has like created a blueprint of who I am just in front of people. And yeah, so not sure what more to say though. But to all the musicians out there, I or like future musicians, I think music is definitely a way to bring who you are. And sometimes within the music field, it's also great to trying to find a place on who you are. Like sometimes just the musical image that you place, not just the music, or like your hand gesture or the type of like phrase or the type of performance you put is crucial in nameplating yourself within the music field, especially since there are so many others. And in order to make yourself a little bit different, it's to make yourself a little bit different, it's important to add your taste to the music, which yes. Maybe with the remaining time I could spend, I'll show you this. So this is the harp. My harp is the grand, I think 47 string harp from Lion and Healy, and yeah. And as you can see, my floor has been wearing down literally because of the constant heel pressure that requires the pedaling. But and yeah, I feel like this room also shows like my personality kind of things. Yeah. So, since there's so much remaining time, I might as well just spend my time talking about how I interpret my music. So, a lot of the music I play, like from a young age, I've tried to bring myself out by playing like difficult music. That is true. But as I grew up, I found myself like a lot of harpists telling me that sometimes rather than being known as the young person who plays such a difficult piece, it might be nicer to start touching on other types of music and interpreting them. And I think that as I grew up, it's more, rather than the difficulty of the music or like of that type, I think it's important to, like, in order to showcase yourself, it's always important for you to have a wide mindset on who you are and what the music comes to you as. Like, there isn't any wrong in finding a different version of and always testing and experimenting with different styles and texts and musical aspects of the piece, because that's always important to think about it as a musician. And just as an individual in general, it's also important, just the same, to have a wide outlook on who you are and what another person may believe, because we are, as individuals, we are all different. And in order to I mean, you don't have to be a person that, like, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be like well known or have fame or achieve like fame in the world. But I feel like it's, as a person, it's always important to try to find your own place and find something that makes you different from others and highlighting that, because I think that's really how trying to find that different point, that special point, has led me to, on my worldview and me as a musician. I think that has led me to this stage. And yes. maybe I'll just, let's see. So maybe I'll just explain about these pictures. So, here in these two pictures, I was at a music camp, and this was after my recital, and this was after the camp. I think these two pictures already show how like the harp has allowed me to meet different people from different nationalities, and I feel like music camps in general help bring a lot of people from different cultures, different nationalities together. And I think I had a really fun time in music camps because I was able to, not just in the musical aspect, but just like living together, like in dorms and in the same place, I was able to just see how different I am and how like how so many people could have different viewpoints, and it's very enjoyable. So for musicians out there, I really recommend attending a music camp once in your life, because every time I go, it has led me to realize different things and acknowledge um, different and like it always creates a surprising point once in a while to and make me realize and learn new things. Yeah. And then these two, I think, were after a competition. Oh yeah, in this picture, I was, I think, in Belgium. I don't remember, but it was the second round then, and trying to and I feel like music. This experience has let me like experience how music can bring people who can't really even communicate with each other together. Like I remember for this round, I met them for the first time, and we were rehearsing our music, and we couldn't really communicate, but because of the language barrier. But I had a really fun time. Like whenever we started playing the music, there wasn't anything like a language barrier, which I think is why music is so great, because you don't need a certain language to know what the musician is trying to say. Music is understandable for all people, and definitely they will have their own interpretations or their own thoughts of what the music conveys to them. But still, at least there's no hindrance to music and understanding and feeling music. And the last picture here, as I said before, was from the Gamak Festival. I was invited to play with the renowned harpist Isabel Moretti, who is actually one of the harpists I really look up to and has inspired me to take on the harp. And here again, I was able to meet so many people from different nationalities and cultures, and I think this is just a repeated experience that I have with music. Because I feel like music is meant to be shared, but also it's important to like hone your own musical style and create who you are, as I said before, but it's also great to share music and with others, because I feel like that is really the whole point of music. If you were stuck in your practice room for so many hours just playing your own piece, I don't think it would create that much of a reward, or a reward just playing by yourself. It's always meant as to be a connection between the audience and you, and yeah. So that's really it. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in into my live stream. So I'll end it here, and I hope you guys tune in into the next person's, Jaywan's and Patrick's live stream to hear about their version and their definition of identity. Thank you. About their version and their definition of identity. Thank you.